And we are back with another edition of the ETBU Coaches Show. Mark T. Robinson here with head men's soccer coach Chad Cox. And on this week's edition, you guys had yet another round of preseason games, taking on University of the South Sewanee and then taking on Birmingham Southern on a Sunday. So interesting matchup there. You guys have been battling hard. Really looks like the team is coming together, working through some adversity. What say you, head coach?
Yeah, no, I think pre-conference, that schedule the last few weeks has been tough on us. We set it up that way with a lot of challenging opponents, a lot of physical play, and really wanted the guys to be battle tested. We don't want to go into conference play without being tested, without seeing what we are. And a lot of great opponents, a lot of great coaching staffs that have put us through some difficult moments, but the guys continue to learn, continue to work in training, and I really do believe and 110% confident these guys are still on the pace and the path we want them to be on, with one more round of preseason coming up. The Sunday afternoon was a brutal one, definitely different for our guys, but we've gotten a little taste of it this year playing in the afternoon. Most of the time the guys are at night. But I thought they did well there with the heat and the circumstances, trying to wake up a little sooner, trying to get their bodies ready to play, which isn't more used to what the ladies are used to. But the guys, I thought, did well with that and that adversity. Played a great match. Unfortunately, it didn't come out the result we wanted, but I thought that was a big step for our guys.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I was looking at in that game, specifically against BSC, you guys, you were down 2 goals, but you guys continued to battle, forced overtime. Obviously, not the result that you wanted, but as a coach, when you look at that, what does that say about your team that they are continuing to fight through all this adversity?
Yeah, no, I think any coach and staff would tell you the same thing when they see their team get down in situations like that, especially a young team. We've got a lot of returners, but we still only have a few seniors on the roster. So overall, it's still a good group of young guys that are still maturing, still growing through some of those times. But when they're able to go into halftime, to regroup, to talk to each other, to solve those things, to communicate, and then take the coaching and put it on the field the next 45 minutes, that is such a huge part of why we believe that we can be very successful, and that why we think the mentality of this young group is very good, and the success and the standards should be high, because you go in 2-0 and you come back out and completely control 45 minutes of soccer after that and play the best soccer we've probably played in the last 3 weeks, and that's what the guys talked about afterwards, what we talked about afterwards. The result didn't go our way, but we did everything we had to do the last 45 to 50 minutes, and they did everything that we asked and we challenged them to do as a coaching staff, and that's what we look for, continuing to grow and understanding that this whole thing is a process to get ready for conference play.
And one of the things also, looking at that matchup, looking at some of your previous matchups, one of the things that you guys are really exceptional at is keeping the ball on your side of the field. I think BSC and then maybe Southwestern was one of the only few teams that had double-digit shot attempts. But for the most part, you're holding your opponents to 5-6 shots a game. How does that work? Do you guys work on that throughout practice, or what is that for you guys?
No, I mean, I definitely think that's a little bit of the things that we've been working on. It's a good group, and over the last couple of years, those returners to start the year have really taken a hold of what we've done in the last spring. And the freshmen have learned quickly about some of the style of play, some of the things that we want to do. We've got a actually pretty experienced back line. I know we've had a couple guys step up, but a back line that has a lot of minutes under their belt. So we've done a good job at keeping the ball in our end. The things we just got to continue to do is be more efficient with our opportunities. Stat book doesn't lie. We've created tons of chances, more than I can count sometimes. We got to get a little more efficient in that area, and just minimize those mistakes when they happen to make sure that we don't give up the 1 or 2 goals. But overall, it's a good game of soccer. We've played 90 minutes of good soccer every night. We just got to continue to clean things up and make sure we don't have little lapses here and there. And that's the name of the game, though. Soccer's a beautiful game. Sometimes you play really well. Sometimes you outshoot people, or You feel like box to box, you may outplay them at times, but at the end of the day, we've got to find ways to put the ball in the back of the net and keep a couple less out of ours.
Absolutely. And you guys, you talked about your young core. You talked about you guys being battle tested. A lot of the returners really helping out the young guys. Specifically, though, one of the young players that has really kind of caught my eye over the last couple of weeks, Keaton Johnson. He's played very well, along with some others, but he has really stood out. Has started a couple games for you. So just kind of talk about his impact so far this season.
Yeah, no, I mean, Keaton's a young man that we've known amongst the staff for a few years now. He's a guy that's been around ETBU and been to several of our camps, and we've gotten to build a great relationship with him and his family, and see him mature and evolve through high school and club. And coming in, we knew he was going to be a guy that definitely was going to be fighting for a spot, and a guy that wanted it. His mentality, his work rate, and his energy is second to none with what he brings to the field with intensity. And, you know, he stepped in when we needed him. And we definitely, this last weekend, we had an unfortunate card where we had a returner need to sit, but Keaton stepped right in like nothing was wrong, played an entire 100 minutes almost of straight soccer at a high level, and stood out. I mean, the kid has done nothing but listen, and he's earned those minutes, and we're looking forward to his future and what he's going to do for us, along with several others that have done a great job for us this year.
Absolutely. And you guys will, I believe, wrapping up preseason this weekend, taking on Millsaps here on Friday. So what are some of the things you've been telling the guys anticipating that matchup here on Friday on Cornish Field?
Yeah, no, I mean, from the very beginning, first team meetings, we talked about the difference in the seasons and what our ultimate goal was as a team and as a group and a family. And, you know, we talk about preseason scrimmages, and we talk about what we try to accomplish there. We talk about the non-conference schedule of regular season and those games and what we're trying to accomplish there. And the biggest thing this week is the second half that we put together Sunday. Can we repeat that Friday and prove that we can do that for 90 whole minutes? And then make sure that we're healthy, we're fresh, we go in with some great momentum, and we get some positive building blocks set in stone to get ready for Cordy and UMHB to start the conference play this year.
Absolutely. And one of the few things I want to touch on before we wrap up here is you said, you know, prior to coming in here to the interview, working with your keepers today early this morning. So how does that kind of benefit you guys there in the long run? And who spearheaded that? First of all, was that all you, or was that among your players as
Just
well?
like the early morning stuff and the keepers?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I think that's, you know, it's student athletes. I mean, that's the name of the game, and we have guys that have a lot of labs, a lot of tough course schedules, and as a staff, I mean, we just have to come together and we have to try to solve what's best for our guys. How can we get the most out of them without killing them for 4 or 5 straight hours in the heat? How can we be efficient with when they're available? And we honestly got lucky. It's not always that way, but we got really lucky this year that our keepers all had a morning off a couple days a week, and so we were able to utilize that the last few weeks, and we hope throughout the season it continues to be a benefit to Justin and Christian, and that we're able to continue to get them that isolated quality time that keepers need as well as other players, but at a time where they can just focus on what they need to do in the goal. And then when we come back out as a team, they've already been worked with and they're ready to get into the bigger concepts and more tactical play with the rest of the guys.
Absolutely. And last thing I wanted to hit on, touch on before we wrap things up here is I don't know if you were around during the women's game where we normally don't do the national anthem twice, but they decided to get together and sing it themselves. Want to get your thoughts on that, and could we be seeing the guys team doing that from now on?
Oh, man, I don't want to put any pressure on my guys for sure. If the guys do it, it's going to be on them. They know I'm not the vocal genius, and I'm not. I'm definitely not an artist in that side of things. But, you know, the women, that does not surprise me. I know that group of young ladies and have gotten to spend time with them through the mission trips last year, and I've got to know a couple of the young girls, and it's just a great group. And I think to see any young group of athletes or students step up and do something like that, it's really an awesome thing to see, and I think it shows the class and the character of who we have in this university and the type of young ladies and young men and coaching staff that we have to bring that out in them. And I think that's just something that I hope more people realize that and see that about who they are as people, not just soccer players.
Absolutely, and thank you once again, Coach. You can take part in the action. Men's soccer will be taking on Millsaps on Friday, September 20th on Cornish Field, so be there to support ETBU, followed by women's soccer taking on their team on Saturday. That will be LSU Alexandria. So thank you once again, head coach.
Thanks, Mark.
Chad
I appreciate
Cox.
you guys having me.
Yes, sir. This has been the ETBU Coaches Show. We'll be back with more. Just stay tuned.